Hello, all students. You are listening to podcast Botany for NEET by S. Ramakrishna. In this topic, after introduction, the main topic, the living world. Keep the NCERT textbook open with you. So listen with concentration. Don't skip. Don't scroll. In the very first paragraph information, the living world is so wonderful. Yes, living world is so wonderful. How it is so wonderful? Amazing range of living types, plants, animal, different sizes, different shape, different colors. So certainly it is amazing. And in extraordinary habitats also it is extraordinary. Mountains, lakes, hot springs, deserts, deciduous forest. So it is speechless. And beauty of nature felt but not touched. Migrating birds from one place to other place, a beauty. Galloping horses, valley of the flowers, a myriad of the flowers, and attacking shark, all makes us to feel a sense of awe or wonder. There is a ecological conflict, cooperation, competition between organisms of population, different populations of a community, different communities, even molecular traffic inside the cell, all makes us to think what indeed life. The what indeed life itself a question. The question implicit with the two questions. If it is, the implicity is philosophical thinking, scientific thinking. In philosophical thinking, what is life? What is purpose of life? So at this stage, we are not concerned with philosophical thinking. And scientific thinking, how it differs with non-living. What is living? We conventionally look forward the distinctive characters exhibited by the living organisms. What are the distinctive characters exhibited by the living organism? Growth, reproduction, ability to sense surroundings, and mounting response to it. Not only this, we have to add something. Metabolism, self-replicate, organize, interact, emergence is also the property of living organism. And in living organism, increasing body mass, increasing number of individuals are twin characteristic features of growth. So, organism exhibit distinctive characters: growth, reproduction, metabolism, consciousness, interaction. But there are few defining properties of the living. Growth, metabolism, reproduction, interaction, consciousness are the distinctive characters of living organism, but all not defining property of living. If you take the growth is not a defining property of living because non-living things also grow. That is hand heaps, mountains, boulders. They grow by means of accumulation, that is extrinsic. But in case of living organism, growth it is internal. So growth cannot be a criteria for defining living. Reproduction. Reproduction is a characteristic feature of living organism, but not a defining property of living. Because certain living organism, sterile worker bees, mules, infertile couples, they not at all reproduce. So, reproduction is not a defining property of living. Third, metabolism. So, chemical conversion inside the living cell, what do you call it is? Metabolic reaction. Metabolism, metabolic reaction exhibited by the organism having cellular organization. So, metabolism is a defining property of living without any exception because there is a continuous conversion of one biochemical to other biochemical in a living cell only. So, cellular organization and metabolism are defining property of living. And metabolic reaction outside the body in a test tube is considered as a living reaction but not a living thing. Why? Because in living thing, it never reached to equilibrium. but in living reaction and test tube, it reaches to equilibrium. Because at equilibrium, there is no work. So, metabolism is a defining property of living without any exception. Consciousness, ability to sense surrounding and mount in response to external stimuli or external cues. What do you call it is consciousness. Consciousness is a defining property of living organism. Consciousness possessed by all living organisms. An extreme level of consciousness, climax of consciousness, what we call self-consciousness. So self-consciousness possessed only by human beings, because they can think what is good, what is bad, what we call it is self-consciousness, only possessed by human beings. Interaction. Interaction is also the property of the living. Suppose, for example, tissues. Properties of tissues not lies in constituent cell. Interaction among constituent cell. If you take collenchyma, the cells of the collenchyma do not perform mechanical strength, flexibility, elasticity. Interaction of the collenchyma cells that gives the property, the corners of the cells thickened with cellulose and pectin, that gives the property of mechanical strength. Even properties of cell organelles lot lies in, that is, molecular constituent. Interaction among molecular constituent that comprises what it is organelle. So interaction is a defining property of living. So all living organism self-replicate, it can replicate and organize, interact and to emerge into higher properties. So suppose if you take cell, tissue system, organ system, and it is organism. So interaction, features of living organism and a defining property of living. Diversity in the living world. In very first paragraph information, if you look around, suppose for example, flat in apartment, you see number of organisms, that is potted plants, pet animals, small creatures, birds. Still there are invisible organisms around us, not visible to us. If we extend the area of observation from flat to street, number of organisms increases. If street to forest, much the variety of organism increases. Each different kind of plant, animal or organism that constitute a species. So, number of species ranges from so far discovered 1.7 to 1.8 millions. So, different types of organisms, different kinds of organisms present in an area that constitute biodiversity. So, types of organism in an area is biodiversity. If you explore new area, already investigated area, already discovered area, new organisms are continuously being added. Why new organisms are continuously being added? Every part of this earth is not accessible to humans all the time. So still there are many organisms still to be discovered. So if you explore new area or already discovered area, new organisms are continuously being discovered. And if number of organisms discovered in an area is going to be constant, seldom it is going to be constant. Very rarely it is going to be constant, because it depends upon the number of reasons, topographic reasons, natural catastrophes. So number of organism or species in an area is rarely constant. Next paragraph. So there are millions of plants and animals and other organisms. So they are called with different names, and local names would vary from place to place. So probably we would recognize a sort of confusion. We should not find means and ways to talk to each other which organism we are talking about, because we don't know about that organism. So there must be something to know about this organism. As we did not find means and ways to talk to the organism, so a proper naming should be done. So there should be standardization of naming of the organism. So the organism known by the same name throughout this world, that is essential what we call nomenclature. So before naming of organism, the organism should be described correctly. To which organism the name is tagged to it, what we call it is identification. So identification is first step, then nomenclature, then it is classification. Next, in order to facilitate the study of organism, number of scientists established and developed different procedures to assign a scientific name to the known organism, what do you call nomenclature, and it is accepted by biologists all over the world. And the naming of organism based on scientific principle, agreed principles and criteria provided in ICBN in case of plant, International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, ICZN in case of animals. The ICBN collect photographs, citations, recommendation from different parts of the world for nomenclature. So the nomenclature, the organism should be with one name. And description of any organism should arrive with the same name throughout the world. And this name assigned to an organism, it has not been used for any other organism in case of nomenclature. Next paragraph, biologists all over the world universally accepted the principles to provide scientific naming of known organism. The binomial system was popularized by Linnaeus through his book Species Plantarum. So for proper naming of the known organism, the binomial system is followed. In binomial system, it is a two-word format, so it is convenient. The first word indicates the genus, second word is the specific epithet. So the scientific name is not the two name, one name with two components or two words, prefix the genus, suffix it is specific epithet. For example, Mangifera indica. So Mangifera is a generic name and indica is a specific epithet. Specific epithet, the species having a particular character of its own. So indica is a species of the Mangifera genus or specific epithet of Mangifera. Suppose for example, the specific epithet indicates the origin or habitat. Mangifera indica, it is Indian origin. Ranunculus aquatica, aquatica it is the habitat, it is water. Character, that is Cleum viscosa, viscous, it is a character. So specific epithet having character of its own. And the principles which are the scientific name or binomial name, it should be in Latin, written in italics, Latinized form or derived from the Latin irrespective of its origin. Why it is in Latin? Latin is a frozen language, not a communicative language. The Latin used to describe the scientific words because the meaning of the words is not going to be changed in contrast to the English. So as it is a frozen language, it is used. So Latin is used written in italics to indicate the origin of Latin. That is the first one. In two component, the first component it is a generic name, second it is specific epithet. Generic name with a capital letter, specific epithet with a small letter. And if it is handwritten or typed matter, genus and specific epithet separately underlined to indicate it is Latin. And if it is printed matter, it should be in the italics to indicate the origin of or it is the Latin. So the first name, generic name with a capital letter, specific epithet with small letter. In handwritten typed matter, separate underline. In printed it is italics. It should be in the Latin, written in italics. And the scientist who described about this plant, suppose Mangifera indica, the scientist name in abbreviated form at the end of scientific name, that is at the end of specific epithet. It is neither underlined nor italicized. Mangifera is underlined, indica is underlined, but not it is abbreviated form of the scientist. Mangifera, indica, Lin. Lin is abbreviated form of the scientist who described Mangifera indica. In next paragraph, since it is highly impossible to know about all the organisms because there are millions of organisms, plants and animals, so it is highly impossible to know about each and every organism in detail. So it is necessary to devise some means to make it possible. So what should be done to know about all these organisms? So there is the process, what do you call it, is classification. Anything grouped into convenient categories based on easily observable characters, what do you call it, is classification. Plants, rice, wheat, maize. Animals, cat, dog, rats. So the moment if you use any of the terms, you will get the image of what it is, particular organism. Suppose you are imagining a cat, we are going to get the image of the cat only. Suppose you are imagining dog, you are thinking of the dog, you get the image of the dog only. Suppose Alsatian dogs, we are not going to get the image of the Shih Tzu dogs, Alsatian dogs only. In case of plant, wheat plant, we are going to get the image of wheat plant only. Suppose the mammals, so you think that a pair of ears and hairs, so on. So wheat, rice, maize, cat, dog, which are convenient categories. The scientific term for this category, what they call taxa. Plural, it is a taxa, singular, it is taxon. So category is abstract. We created. Taxon, it is real. So rice, wheat, maize, which are taxon. Cat and dog, which are taxa. The taxa indicate the category present at different levels. As earlier said, category is abstract, not real. We created, and taxon is real. Suppose there are three boxes, small box, medium box, big box. We arranged according to their sizes, small, medium, big. We don't know what content present inside it. The box, empty box is equal to category. We don't know. The content present inside the box is nothing but taxon. Suppose species, it is category. Indica, it is the taxon. Family, it is category. Solanaceae, it is taxon, a real one. So category is abstract, taxon it is real. Dogs are mammals. Mammals are animals. They are taxa at different levels. So classification of organism based on characters into taxa, what they call taxonomy. And the taxonomy, it takes the help of external character, internal character, cell structure, developmental process, ecological information, what do you call it is? It is the basis for modern taxonomy. So, basis for modern taxonomy, external character, internal character, cell structure, development process, as well as ecological information, whether it is a arid condition or it is hydrophytic condition, such it is ecological information, is the basis for modern taxonomy. So taxonomy components: characterization, identification, nomenclature, classification. Next. So taxonomy is not something new. It is a mother of biological sciences. Right from the beginning, humans are interested to know about the organism, their uses that cater to the human needs: food, shelter, clothing. So earlier classifications are need-based classification. Next, humans not only interested to know about the organism, their diversities and interrelationship, their affinities, nothing but it is systematics. systematic arrangement of organism. The word systematic derived from systema. It is from the Latin word. Later, Linnaeus used title of publication Systema Naturae. In overall, systematics include identification, nomenclature, classification, also takes into account of evolutionary relationship, that is phylogenetic relationship. So taxonomy, characterization, identification, nomenclature, classification. Systematics, identification, nomenclature, classification, and phylogeny. So taxonomy with the phylogeny nothing but it is systematics. Next, taxonomic categories. Classification, grouping of organism into categories. The classification, not a single step process. It is a multi-step process. Each step, what do you call it, is category. Earlier we said category is abstract, we created, nothing but it is a rank. Taxon, it is the real one. So category becomes the part in overall taxonomic arrangement, what they call taxonomic category. All the taxonomic categories constitute taxonomic hierarchy. So systematic sequential arrangement of all taxonomic categories constitute taxonomic hierarchy. In the group represents category. Category denotes a rank, nothing but taxon. So unit of classification regardless of its rank, what do you call it, is taxon. And taxonomic categories, it can be best illustrated by a best example, group of insects. Suppose you collected the 10 insects from different places. So the 10 insects differ in size, shape, color, behavior. And these 10 insects which shares common characters, 3 pairs of jointed legs, head, thorax, and abdomen, and antennae. So because of common shared characters, it is recognizable concrete organisms. So which are real organisms? Concrete, real organisms which are placed in a group, what they call insecta. So insecta is a group we created in which real organism insects are present which share common characters. So taxonomic categories are distinct biological entities, not merely morphological aggregate. We not created the heap of insects by collecting all the insects. These insects share common features having relationship, phylogenetic relationship. That's why you place in a group what we call insecta. So they are distinct biological entity, not merely morphological aggregate. They are having their own characteristic feature, shared feature, affinities, relationship. So once again, they are distinct biological entities, not merely morphological aggregates. And taxonomic studies of all known organism, plants and animal led to the development of the category species, genus, family, order, class, phylum in case of animals, and division in case of plant and plant kingdom, animal kingdom. Plants include in case of plant kingdom, animals include in case of animal kingdom. Next, how can you place an organisms in different categories? It is not the job of ordinary person. We must have knowledge in characteristics of individual and group of organism. That helps to know about similarities and dissimilarities among same organism or different organism. Then only it is possible to place an organism in a particular category. This is the basic taxonomic unit. That is, group of individual organism having fundamental similarities which freely interbreed to produce fertile offspring, what do you call it, is species. Fundamental similarities means having common ancestry, morphological similarity, anatomical similarity, physiological similarity. so freely interbreed to produce fertile offspring. Suppose A1, A2, these produce fertile offspring X. B1, B2 produce fertile offspring, it is Y. A1 and B1 do not produce any fertile offspring. So two closely related species having morphological differences. So how can you differentiate two closely related species, lion and tiger, based on morphological differences? Tiger having stripes, lion do not have stripes on the body. And Solanum melangina, Solanum tuberosum. So melangina, tuberosum, which are specific epithet of higher category, it is the Solanum. Panthera leo, Panthera tigris, Panthera pallidus. So leo, tigris, pallidus are specific epithet of the higher category, it is the Panthera. So one genus may have more than one specific epithet. It is not at all necessary that you should have more than one specific epithet always. So in general, one genus may have one or more than one specific epithet representing different organism having morphological similarities. So tiger and a lion having morphological similarities, and tiger and a cat, even though having morphological similarities, they have having vast differences, but more similarities between tiger and a lion. In case of humans, Homo sapiens, sapiens is a specific epithet of the higher category to Homo. So it is having only one specific epithet. In past, humans having the genus having more than one specific epithet. Homo erectus, Homo habilis might have, but now there is only one specific epithet. It is extant species. It is not it is extinct. It is extant species that is remain. Homo sapiens. Next, the genus. The genus comprises of closely related species having more common characters than the species of other genera. Potato brinjal belongs to the same genus Solanum. Solanum melangina brinjal, Solanum tuberosum potato. Panthera leo, Panthera tigris, Panthera pallidus. Leo tigris pallidus belongs to the genus Panthera. So closely related species present in case of genus having more characters in common than the species of other genera. Panthera leo, Panthera tigris having more characters in common than the species of other genera like cats, that is Felis catus. Next, family. Closely related genera are included in case of family with less number of similarities when compared to the genus and species. Datura, Petunia, Solanum included in family Solanaceae based on vegetative and reproductive characters. Panthera leo, Panthera tigris, Panthera pallidus along with Felis catus, cats included in case of Felidae. Cats and dogs having similarities as well as differences. So Felis included in case of Felis catus included in family Felidae, and dogs included in family Canidae. Next order, a species, genus, family based on number of similar characters. Order and other higher categories, that is order, class, phylum or division, kingdom, based on aggregates of character. And order being higher category based on assemblage of families, the different families. Still less number of similarities when compared to different genera included in case of family. So aggregates of character. Suppose 5 brothers in a family. Same nose, same facial features, same height, almost same color, many similar characters. But if you consider a village, the diverse people, you should not simply base on similarities because the diverse people have to consider language, culture, tradition, geography, different features. So aggregates of characters. Solanaceae, Convolvulaceae are the two families which are included in order Polynomials based on floral characters. And Panthera leo, Panthera tigris, Panthera pallidus in a family Felidae. There is another genus Felis catus that include in case of Felidae and dogs in case of Canidae. So Felidae and Canidae which included in case of order that is Carnivora. Next class, the orders like Carnivora that includes Felidae and Canidae and other orders like it is the Primata that include monkey, gorilla, gibbons. So Primata and Carnivora, closely related orders placed in a class Mammalia. Of course, the Mammalia having other orders also. Next, phylum. Closely related classes placed in case of the phylum. So amphibians, reptiles, birds are placed in case of the phylum Chordata based on common features, notochord and dorsal hollow neural system. In case of animals, that is the phylum. In case of the plants, it is the division. Suppose the division Angiospermae that include the class Dicotyledone as well as Monocotyledone. In case of phylum, in case of animal, division in case of plants. Next, in case of kingdom, various phyla, that is different phyla, assigned to the higher category animal kingdom. In case of plant, various divisions assigned to the higher category plant kingdom. So, animal kingdom, plant kingdom. And in an ideal taxonomic hierarchy, there are 7 categories: species, genus, family, order, class, phylum in animal, division in plants, then kingdom, plant kingdom, animal kingdom. In some other classificatory system like Bentham and Hooker, subcategories are created for sound and scientific placement of taxa, for correct placement of the taxa in case of Bentham and Hooker system of classification. In taxonomic hierarchy, if you go from species to kingdom, number of similar characters decreases. Characters more in general increases. Why characters more in general increases? Number of organism, type of organism, the diversity increases. Lower the taxa, much the similarities within the taxa it can share. That is the species. So problem of classification very difficult at higher level of category because determining the relationship to other taxa it is highly difficult. Why determining the relationship to other taxa are difficult? Characters more in general than number of similarities. Suppose for example to understand this, Dicotyledone, Gymnospermae, Monocotyledone present at class level. Dicotyledone, Gymnospermae, Monocotyledone. So Dicotyledone flowering plant, Monocotyledone flowering plant and Gymnosperms are primitive flowering plants. The common character all having the same. So they are having more characters, broadly it is having characters but not number of similarities are same because dicot having 2 cotyledon, monocot having 1 cotyledon. Dicot having perianth, monocot having perianth, gymnosperm not having perianth. So the characters more in general increases at higher level than number of similar characters. That's why problem of classification difficult. Determining the relationship to other taxa it is difficult at higher level of category, taxonomic category. Next, organisms with their taxonomic categories. In case of wheat, species Aestivum, genus Triticum, family Poaceae or Graminae, order Poales, class Monocotyledone, division Angiospermae, kingdom plant kingdom. Next, in mango, species Indica, genus Mangifera, family Anacardiaceae, order Sapanidae, class Dicotyledone, division Angiospermae, kingdom plant kingdom. In housefly, species Domestica, genus Musca, family Musidae, order Diptera, class Insecta, and phylum Arthropoda, kingdom Animalia kingdom. In case of man, species Sapiens, genus Homo, family Hominidae, order Primata, class Mammalia, phylum Chordata, and kingdom Animal kingdom.